Welcome to Next Level Greatness, the podcast. Around here, we'll be talking about all things expansion, going from good to great and from great to greatness. I'm your host, Barbie Collab. Get ready for your next level. Let's do this. Welcome to Next Level Greatness, the podcast. I am outdoors. You might hear a little fountain behind me. Once again, I feel inspired to share with you about this topic. So a few months ago, one of my friends and I decided to go on a little, short-lived journey of finding multiple streams of income. And in my mind, I had it planned where I was going to come back on the podcast and share 5 different ways that you could make quick money. Okay. And that was really, really fun. And so if I haven't shared this before, I am someone that jumps pretty quickly. Like I'll see something, I'll get a hit, and then I'll do it. That quality has served me well in life. And then sometimes I just waste money. Okay, so one of the first things that my friend and I checked out, my friend's name is Monique. So she said, there's this thing, where you can make passive income, or not passive income, but you can make income making cups. And I was like, okay, let's check it out. So we hopped on the webinar and it's legitimate. Okay, I'm not going to give you the link. I don't even know the link because I knew within like 10, 15 minutes that I am not going to spend 7 to 8 hours per week, which is not a long time, to make cups and t-shirts and random ugly stuff on the internet to sell on Amazon. And you really can make a great income. I don't know the percentages. I don't know who makes what, but there were examples of people making hundreds of thousands of dollars. But what was clear to me from that experience is that if I'm going to spend 7 to 8 hours or 7 to 10 hours doing something, it has to be doing something that matters to me, something that actually fills me up. And just clicking my way through making stuff that I don't care about, and I'm not a crafty person on top of that, would not be a good idea for me. But maybe it would be a good idea for you. And I know people are making great money doing that, but it would not fill my soul. And so that was clarity that I got right there. And if you're looking to start an online business, it's really important for you to ask yourself, is it important for me to feel good and inspired by the work that I'm doing? Because otherwise it's just a job. And for me, starting an online business, my back is not up against the wall. So I want to make that distinction as well. If you know, let's say you have a job and you need to bring in more income and you see this opportunity and you're like, well, I don't necessarily want to make cups for a living or t-shirts. There's nothing wrong with that, right? Like I respect every single job that a person takes on or wants to take on as long as you're not hurting anyone. For example, I see people selling water in the street for $1, like to me, or not for $1 or whatever, $2, $3, or even $1, and they pay 25 cents. That's a legitimate job. We have a guy that comes every Friday to pick up dog poop. That's a legitimate job. So I'm not poo-pooing, excuse the pun, I'm not poo-pooing any job. I'm just saying that if your back is not up against the wall and you are looking to start an online business, then I would suggest doing something that your heart truly desires. And even if your back is up against the wall, I have a friend who quit his job and started a consulting business for graduate students. And he was like, I saw my back was against the wall. I did not want to go back. And then he did whatever he had to do. He said, I made Google my bitch. And now he's making a few $100,000 per year. So that's a case of his back being up against the wall, but him taking his talents, his skills, his passion, and making that profitable. So if you can see, there are so many different options. you get to decide. Do you want this to be soul filling? Do you want this to be soul sucking? I will not choose soul sucking, but you get to decide if that's what you want for yourself. Okay. So I have seen something else on the internet. I'm going to try not to name what it is, but basically I saw someone that I know promoting this online course that you can, if you buy the course, you learn the material and you get to resell the material for the price that you paid for it. And I was like, man, this sounds amazing. And that was a case where I jumped and I bought it, $497. And I opened up and I was like, wow, this is really good. Maybe this is something that I can share with my clients in my courses and they can start their own business. But when I opened up the actual course, I thought it was so vanilla. I thought it was so plain. And I personally could not promote something and tell someone like, yeah, just sell this because it's going to be quick and easy money. Because I know that the material for me felt so plain and boring that I wouldn't do that. And so also I spend so much time and care and devotion, and I put so much heart into creating my courses that I know that what I offer my clients and my courses is my unique frequency and the experience of being in a room together, even if you watch the recordings, where we get to experience each other's energy. And this course that I bought felt soulless to me. It was just information. And I don't know if anyone, well, I'm sure that there are people that are going to go through it. So maybe it's not a bad thing, but I couldn't in good conscience promote this. Another thing that came up for me and that I quickly realized is that if you don't have an audience, so let's say you have a social media account, so Instagram, Facebook, whatever it is, and you don't have an audience, who are you going to sell to? You have to create the audience. And so a lot of people, what I see them doing in the online space, a lot of marketers, is that they're like, oh, you can sell this and you can make quick money. And yeah, that may or may not be true, but only if you already have an audience. And if you're being tempted by making quick money on the internet and selling stuff on the internet, I want to invite you to really think about the long term, the infinite game, as Simon Sinek says in his book. It's called The Infinite Game, where you're not thinking short term. So short term right now, I have a beautiful audience on my Facebook page. I have a small Instagram following because I lost my account, but I have a nice list of people. I could sell them poop. Okay. I refuse, because that would be short-term vision. I can make a quick buck selling someone something that is not valuable in my opinion. But what does that do? In the long term, that damages the relationship. So I just heard about this on the news. There is an app called Temu or Temu where you get to buy this really cheap stuff like clothing and gadgets. And apparently I'm laughing because I'm like, I know some of you are going to think that I'm like into conspiracy theories, but I don't really care what, if you think that or not. But anyway, it is actually owned by the Chinese government, and it has access. When you get this app, and people are getting the app because they like cheap deals, you actually give access to your bank account. And you just never know what can happen. And so that is an example of taking advantage of the audience, but then also people being consumers, right? Millions of consumers have this app on their phone. And if you have it, it's up to you if you delete it or not. But millions of consumers are being blinded by this shiny object of like, ooh, I can have a $10 skirt, or I can have a $10, gadget for my coffee, or whatever it is. And so I am keeping the infinite game in mind, the long-term vision in mind of what I present to my audience. I refuse to sell things that are not in the highest service of my audience. And I can see that it's very appealing, like seeing people like, hey, you can make thousands of dollars in 4 days. Okay, is this in the highest good of your audience, of your customers, of your friends, of your clients? And if it's not, you do have to think of the damage that you might possibly do. And even if it is a good thing and you can make good money, do you have an audience? And if you don't have an audience, then you need to create it. So for example, my friend, the one that was or is offering consulting services for graduate students or students who want to get into graduate school, he didn't have an audience. He created his Instagram. We talked and I really encouraged him to do reels. I gave him a little bit of, I'm taking no credit for him, by the way. But we did have a conversation and I told him about, really being consistent with reels. I gave him ideas for content and we hadn't talked for a while. He hardly got any likes, but behind the scenes, he was mastering search engine optimization, SEO. So people were finding him on the internet, even though he didn't visibly look like he had an audience. So he may have had just, I don't know, actually he had a few thousand people, but I don't know who those people are, if it was like a legit audience or not. And again, I don't know his business. Well, what I can say is that he had very little engagement, which tells you what? You can't judge if your business or somebody's business is doing well or not based on the number of likes and comments. Because if you look at my social media, my business is doing great. And it has been for over a decade or whatever, 15 years. I don't get like tons of comments. And some of the things that sell, some of the posts that produce sales, they don't have a lot of comments. A lot of people just purchase. So in the example of my friend, he hardly got any comments. And now he told me he's making like $25,000 a month. So he did the work behind the scenes to get the audience. So you do need to build your audience. So this is a short episode. And to wrap it all up, it's really the question, what do you want to do as a business? Do you want it to be soul-filling? Do you mind that it's soul-sucking? Again, I want to encourage you to think about the finite game, so short-term versus long-term, and I really encourage you to think long-term. And if you have an online business, what you really want to do, or are thinking about an online business, what you really want to do is think about the audience that you want to create and get to work on building that audience and think about who it is that you want to serve. With that said, Athena, the Art of Business, is my brand new program that is coming up. Enrollment is open. I'm going to put the link below. And it is for aspiring and new business owners, whether you're in sales, I have some healers in there. I have some people in the tech industry. I have all sorts of people. I have some network marketers, and they all have something in common. So either they're thinking of just starting and there's so much information out there that they don't really know exactly what to do and who to trust. I see that. I understand that. Or they have an existing business, but they're not bringing in the people that they want to bring in and the sales and the profit that they want to bring in because they're afraid to make the sale. They're afraid to not even that they're afraid, but they don't know how to put themselves out there on social media and how to create offers that are a win-win for the client. So Athena, I know, is going to be one of my signature programs along with Money Magnet, but it's a soul program. Like I feel it with every fiber of my being, and I just can't wait for the transformation that's going to happen. So we start soon. Check out the link below. And once again, thank you for being on this journey with me. I'm always going to bring you the truth. My husband says there's no such thing as like my truth, your truth. Well, there's the truth, but then there's the truth that is out there in the universe that God knows, or the ultimate creator. But there's always the truth as I understand it. And so what I promise you is to bring you the truth as I understand it, right? It's my perspective. It's whatever I share with you on here is based on my experience, my knowledge, and my filter. And then you get to take that and you get to decide what you do with it. All right. Have an amazing week, whatever day it is that you're listening to this, and I will see you next time. If you loved this episode and if you're loving my podcast, I would love for you to leave a review. They really do make a difference in spreading the word and having more people be impacted. Also, I'd love for you to join me in my Facebook community called The Magnetic Portal. You can find the link in the show notes. I'll see you next time.